I'm Jared Dienda, and this is Snap-on Tools Great Garages. We're here in New Hampshire to check out a facility that maintains and services their own helicopter fleet, as well as customers' helicopters, utilizing Snap-on tools. Let's take a closer look at JBI Helicopter Services. Dave, what's going on?
Hey Jared, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. Beautiful facility. I mean, this looks like a golf course out there. Well-maintained lawns, but we're here because of helicopters.
Yes, you are.
Tell us about JBI. How long have you guys been around?
JBI has been around since the early 80s. Started with a man named Joe Brigham, hence the JBI, Joe Brigham Incorporated. We run a fleet of 8 of our own aircraft that we maintain and fly, doing different types of jobs, whether it be agricultural or lift work. We also have varying clients, which take up about 35 aircraft that we work on throughout the year.
How many employees do you have?
In the height of the busy season, we run upwards of about 40 employees.
Wow, so it's pretty substantial. Let's check out one of the hangars. Where are we going to start?
We'll start over in the ag hangar next door. That's where we store all of our aircraft and where we basically keep aircraft that are flight ready.
Sounds good. I'll follow you.
All right.
Where exactly are we in the JBI facility?
We have 2 hangars. This would be considered more of the storage side. These are generally aircraft on this side that are flyable.
How often are you nut and bolting? Are you doing that after every flight?
I mean, after every flight, we do open up everything, take a look at everything. We do a post-flight, as well as the pilot's doing a pre-flight, so someone could come back and land. I'll look over it all, and then before a pilot leaves in the morning, he'll look over it again.
What's your title here?
I'm a mechanic and an inspector.
So what does that entail?
I do day-to-day operations involving inspecting aircraft for maintenance, and I inspect other people's work. Everything we do here gets looked at by a second set of eyes for safety.
I mean, these big machines in the sky, when there's a failure, they're kind of leaning on you.
Absolutely. We take everything we do here seriously and make sure that any work that's done is done with the safety of flight in mind, of the crew, the passengers, and anyone else that might be involved.
Great segue. You take everything seriously. That's why you need serious tools. Snap-on tools. Are you a purist? I mean, do you love Snap-on?
Almost everything in my box is Snap-on.
All right, it's very honest of you. And where did your relationship with Snap-on begin?
I'd say probably in the military. I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps, and they had all Snap-on tools. That's where I really started to love working with them.
When a helicopter comes in, is it normal maintenance? What do you guys really do here?
Aircraft that fly daily, there might be minor maintenance to do. Just check them over daily. If there's anything new that pops up, we'll take a look at it and fix it if we need to at that time. Otherwise, we have aircraft that go into heavy maintenance either by an hourly cycle or an annual cycle, and that's where we really tear these things apart and get a good look at everything.
Another great segue. Your franchisee, has he ever helped you out in a bind?
Absolutely. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a 600 foot-pound torque wrench that just wasn't working properly. It was very old. It's Snap-on, but that just goes to show how long it's lasted. I mean, it's ancient. And we sent it in for a calibration, and our franchisee gave us another torque wrench. I mean, he got it really quickly, something that we could use and we needed right then at that time.
What's the other side of the facility?
That's where we do our heavy maintenance.
Okay. All right. Can we head over there?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Dave, this place is absolutely clinical, man. You could eat off these floors. This is a great looking facility, I gotta say. Where are we at right now?
We're in the maintenance hangar where we do all of our heavy maintenance. We do our inspections, annual inspections.
Yeah.
This is where all the work gets done.
What does a bird like that cost? How much?
The least expensive ones that we operate, brand new, which they're not made anymore, be about 1.2 million.
Yeah, no big deal, man. So this one right here, this is privately owned. What would you do for like a customer like this?
They need to come in once a year for an annual inspection, which is regulated by the FAA, and we tear into it and inspect most structural components, you know, all the important stuff.
So you have to be completely familiar with all of the copter brands?
Bell is what we mainly work on, so they have different models, and you have to be familiar with all the models. Luckily, there's thousands of pages of manuals for anything we might not be familiar with we can refer to.
Well, there's a lot of technicians here. Make sure that all the birds get fixed and maintained. Who is in charge of all that?
The person in charge of all the mechanics is our director of maintenance. His name's Patrick. He's a really good guy, a little bit hard of hearing.
Yeah, he's been around a lot of birds.
He's been around a lot of aircraft for a lot of years, which gives him experience.
All right, well, let's link up with Patrick.
Okay.
Patrick! Oh, we got a dog.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Patrick, how we doing, man?
Doing well.
I understand you're a little hard of hearing, so I'm going to speak loudly.
Appreciate it.
So I assume you've been around these things for quite some time, hence the hard of hearing?
It does do it, yep.
Okay.
If you don't take care of your ears, that's what happens.
And your role here at JBI?
I'm a director of maintenance. Basically, that means that I make sure that we comply with all the rules and regulations with the FAA and we stay compliant.
Okay. And speaking of FAA, this is a customer's bird here that we're looking at.
Correct.
What are you working on?
Well, right now we're doing a little repair here. We've had several guys working on it. This was just from wear and tear over the years, and it's a little hole, so we're going to take some composite material, fill it up, and that'll be pretty much it. We'll paint it.
So for being a technician, as long as you have, how important is the right tools for the right job and utilizing Snap-on tools?
It is very important. If you don't have the right tool for the right job, it makes it difficult. It can take twice as long, if not longer, to do the work. So when you do have the correct tool, which has actually become one of my favorites since I've been here, it gives you great access in the tail boom area to get that nut in the back off.
Who educated you on the difference of tools and Snap-on tools?
It was more of I learned as I went.
You had some failure on some other maybe
Oh,
competitors,
big
something like that?
Yep.
Okay. Saw another technician over there. Who's that?
Alex.
All right, can you introduce me to him?
Sure thing, absolutely.
Alex, how we doing, man? What are you working on, actually?
So this is part of the 300 inspection on one of our own helicopters, which means during every 300 hour, you rip apart the inside, inspect it for cracks, wires rubbing, tubes rubbing of the flight controls rubbing together, making sure just everything looks pretty ordinary and intact.
So do you find when you inspect, do the 300-hour inspection, any compromises in the chassis?
Usually what we find is rivets, mostly making mud is what we call it, just rubbing together.
What do you call it?
Mud.
Mud,
Yeah,
making mud.
It's like a mud type
Material?
The rivet itself is just rubbing against the airframe, causing like a goo.
What's your relationship like with Snap-on tools?
I like Dave, he's a good guy. Gets any tool you want, even if it's not on the truck right away.
So you found that kind of you're in a bind, you don't have the right tool, and call him up and next day?
Usually he comes every Friday, but even if we need a tool right away, he'll stop what he's doing and come help us out, which is very appreciative.
So this thing's stripped down, have you found anything yet?
No, nothing
No
major
mud?
concern, no mud.
What tools do you most commonly find in your hands, or which tool do you enjoy the most?
The flank drive
Oh, yeah?
wrenches.
These guys?
Yep.
A couple of these jammers?
9/16 and ½ inch for the seat belts, which I'm disassembling now. Definitely very handy.
Seems like you guys are using a lot more hand tools as opposed to electric, but I do see you got a nice little drive here as well.
Yep, I think that's probably the most common power tool that I have in my box, and all the guys here have in their box.
Yeah, did you have an aspiration of actually being a helicopter pilot, or?
Probably in the future, definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool, right on. Well, I'll let you take the cyclic eventually. Thanks so much for your time,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Jesse, how we doing, man?
Good.
Good, good. Jesse, your box is dirty, means it gets worked. What's your relationship like with Snap-on? How did it begin and where's it going, basically?
I started out in my dad's shop, automotive shop. I was 12 years old, picking away at dad's hand-me-down tools, and then started building up my own inventory.
So at an early age, you're getting your hands on tools. Now you're working on these machines, which it's essential that there is no failure. With your hands on so many different tools, do you recognize the difference?
I do, yeah. Being a guaranteed tool is a big thing.
What tool do you most commonly find in your hand?
We have a big Snap-on torque wrench that goes to 500 foot-pounds.
All right, so this is the Big Daddy. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, two-piece, 600 foot-pounds.
600 foot-pounds of torque.
Yep.
I don't know if we've seen one of these in a shop before. So what's this used for?
So our main rotor mass nut is 250 to 275 foot-pounds, and that's what holds the main rotor on top of the helicopter. And that's what we use to accomplish that. The Bell 429 has a much higher torque. We actually use a torque multiplier on top of the torque.
I feel like you get knighted when you get this thing. If you pull this from the stone, you become the king.
Yeah, it's not really that easy.
Holy cow! Imagine you hold the head like it's a fastener.
Yeah.
So you're, whoa, wow, that's impressive. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to catch back up with Dave. I can hear him banging away in there fixing something. So thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for showing us around, but what are you working on here?
I'm working on the disassembly, inspection, and replacement of a couple parts here of this main rotor hub.
Seen how many hours? What kind of information?
Well, this is a 300-hour inspection on the whole aircraft, but these parts here, these are called TT straps, need to be changed every 3 years, no matter how many hours, even if you only put 10 hours on them.
Well, while we got you here, got your roll cart here, which is nice, and a lot of roll carts here.
They're very mobile. That's what we like to have here. As soon as I started here, that's what I noticed most people had, so that's what I went with.
Well, while we got your cart here, what's your favorite tool?
Two things I work with most often are 1/4 inch drive ratchets, sockets, anything 1/4-inch drive. This is my favorite hand tool right here, a pair of duckbills. You can use it for almost anything, breaking safety wire or getting cotter pins out of bolts.
What is the next tool on the wish list?
Next in line is a heat gun, actually.
How would you utilize that in this industry?
We use it a lot to loosen up adhesives and get into places. A lot of our parts are very, very close tolerances. So sometimes you cannot get parts unstuck from each other unless one's heated and one's cooled.
Well, Dave, thanks again. Clean shop, beautiful facility.
Thank
You
you.
guys utilizing Snap-on tools. And I love your story, you know, coming from the Marines, and it trickles on into this. So thanks again, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate having you guys, and we love using your tools.
Let's get this bird back up in the air, right?
Will do.
All right, thanks.
Take care.
Let us know in the comments below which tool's next on your wish list. And of course, share, like, and subscribe for all things Snap-on Tools. Thanks for watching another episode of Snap-on Tools Great Garages.